also have a large request from the Gold side, from Huntington, from Pittsburgh, from the various areas of what their needs are, what we need to address to try to fill in those needs. So as we proceed through with that, we will be working with those various requests to get that filled in. So, what I have, short and sweet.
Very good, sir. Mike Miller.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, it's certainly a great privilege to represent the divisions of the southern part of our district. I was told I had to be brief, so I asked Chief Staff Officer Bono exactly what brief meant, and he said he was unfamiliar with the term, so I'm going to have to go forward with this as it is. Division 11, centered around Nashville. The division commander is Paul Fernandez, and the vice division commander is Clifton Ogden. Division 11 has focused this year on returning to basics, and they define that as saving lives. So, starting in April, they intend to have a boating safety class the last Saturday of each month. The division has participated in the Tennessee Boat and Fishing Expo in Clarksville, the Outdoor Expo. They also sponsor a Sea Scout ship, number 1102, and they actually had scuba training in March, and they plan to have a long cruise to MSU Paducah or Paris Landing in July. In October of 2022, a facility and crew were awarded the Operational E Award. As best we can tell, this is the first Operational E Award awarded to elements within and obtained in this district. So a great accomplishment by those folks. Division 12, the division commander is Tom Jumer, and the vice commander is Tim Scoggins. The division has attended the Knoxville Boat Show in March, garnered about 40 requests for information. The members are actively engaged in UPV operations with the MSD Nashville and the Culinary Assistance Program. The division anticipates another strong year of public education. One of our flotillas has already had 9 ABS classes, and they average about 28 people a class, so doing an outstanding job there. The division is also involved in a large number of vessel exams and underway hours, especially at third-year check rides. I think we have about 10 check rides coming this year, so it's going to be a really busy year on the water. And the division is working with MSD Nashville to host a marine exercise on Fort Martin Lake in Knoxville in August, and we'll be working with the law enforcement and first responders, and Division 11 has promised to provide us with a couple of assets, so we certainly appreciate that support from those guys. Division 16, commander is Jeff Gephardt and Sarah Canasty. Did I say that right? They're centered around Chattanooga, Tennessee. They're in the midst of transition, a chrysalis, if you will. They're consolidating resources and strengthening their division, while at the same time enabling their flotillas to restructure and reorient themselves going forward. They're kind of operating as a division now and slowly breaking out into flotillas again. Division leadership has engaged in the strength, opportunity, aspiration, and results analysis with their members, which is a process where they get together and they brainstorm what they want and brainstorm how to get there. So I was actually able to be present at the meeting where they did part of that, and the group was very involved in that discussion. And the result of that will be a strategic plan moving forward for the division. One division member there actually provided CPR classes to the crew of the Ouachita. Division 24, the commander is Richard Miles, and the vice commander is Keith Ridgway. Division 24 is growing. Since the new year, they've added 9 new members in the first quarter, and their goal is to add about 20 in 2023. Then they're well on their way. The division has participated in the Huntsville Boat Show, the Kite Festival, and they're working on to not only extend their support for an existing Sea Scout ship, but also assist with a second Sea Scout ship that they want to partner with. The division exploring is the use of QR codes to be placed on vessels by dealers that will open flotilla websites and publications and other boating safety information. I look forward to reporting you back in the fall on the other accomplishments of D8ER South. Thank you very much.
Doug Field.
Well, you guys noticed earlier in the morning, Mr. Parks pointed out, he even said, hey, we're looking at the big picture up above, and that's what this side of the auditorium's doing. You know, these are our gold side and our high-level auxiliary officers, and they did a great job telling us what the big picture is. We're focusing in on our divisions here and telling you what we've been doing, what we're going to be doing in the future. So, ADR West, we've been very busy. Like Mr. Franco's and Mr. Miller's areas, we've been out already working this year. There are a couple things that all four divisions in our ADR West have in common. Number one, we got the 70-25 financial paperwork done. Took us a little longer this year than normal, but we got it turned in, so thank you guys for doing all of that. Number two, and it was mentioned a little bit earlier, we've done a lot of boat and travel shows. Sometimes we take those for granted, but the boat and travel shows, we had one in Indianapolis, we had one in Louisville, Cincinnati, and Western Kentucky. And these public events are for the older boating public as well as the new boating public. And we have the youth there, we pass out coloring books, knot tying, and we remind them, wear your life jackets. That was something Ron brought up earlier. Wear your life jackets. We may never know what this kind informational gesture will do. We may have saved somebody's life just by doing that, and we really don't know. But anyhow, that's something that we all had in common. Division 1 out of Indianapolis, talking about boat and travel shows, I should mention there's a lot of time and effort that goes into it, as Tom knows down here. And he sent in a report. They had 246 hours, man-hours, for the boat show that they worked up in Indianapolis. So that's something that says, hey, we're putting some time into that. And they've done more than just the boat shows. Hats off to them for that. But they've also worked in the Hamilton County Emergency Agency event, helped with first aid classes. And next month, they're going to do something at Armed Forces Day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And I bet you'll have another 200 plus hours.
All invited.
There you go. And I went last year, and that was a very exciting event. They had, I want to say 150, over 100 young people get sworn into the military. Sadly, there was no Coast Guard people in that. So we have to work with the gold side, and maybe in the next year or two, we try to get some representative Coast Guard young people, joining the Coast Guard at that place. But that was an amazing event, very patriotic, and everybody had a good time there. Louisville, not to be left out, Carl and his crew's been busy, and it's already been mentioned a couple times. You're not really well represented here at this meeting because such a big event's happening in your area, their area of responsibility, with the theater over Louisville. But you guys, you've had a planning meeting and you worked very hard getting ready for this event. It's all part of Derby Week. At the end, then they'll have the Kentucky Derby. So like Indianapolis has the Indianapolis 500. So it all works together there. And in Cincinnati Division 5, Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, they have the Indianapolis 500, and then Louisville has the Kentucky Derby. We had the opening day of Major League Baseball, and we have a parade. And with the gold side, They brought a safe boat up and a truck, pulled it in the parade. In the auxiliaries, we provided Panda, the bear, who shows everybody wear your life jacket when you're out by the water. And we had a great time working with the Gold Side. We've already had a planning meeting for all the different events that's going to happen in Cincinnati. And this year I mentioned something about, I'm going to get it correct here, the Red Bull Flugtag. I could not pronounce that. But they're like gliders that come off a ramp and fly out into the water. Now, they don't fly? I keep looking to him because I found out he wants to be a pilot of one of these crashing things into the water. But the Gold Side has asked us to help with the traffic, close down the river around that area. Red Bull's looking at them as flying machines. We see them as sinking boats. But anyhow, that's just some of the things that in the area that's going to take place. Something else that happens in the Cincinnati area, they have Paddle Fest, where they'll have over 2,000 paddle craft, kayaks, canoes. The river's shut down to commercial motorized vehicles, and it's all only Paddle Fest for like a half a day. And then we have our fireworks closing this season out. Division 8, Gene's been very busy on doing a lot. Yes, I am wrapping up real quick. But I'm talking about Gene now. I am wrapping up. Gene has been very busy because of a lot of tornadoes and bad weather doing safety checks in your area. Plus, I wanted to bring up, Gene, that you've done a great job with the safe boating classes, and you've had 30-plus attendees, mainly from your working at the boat show. So again, I would like to thank all the division commanders and all the members in the area doing a great job this year.
Have no fear. I warned them ahead of time what their time limit was and that I would be reminding them. There she is. Miss Anita, would you care to step forward and talk to us about the fall D-Train?
Good morning. Well, we're going to talk about what we're going to do in the fall and basically ditto to spring. We will be back at this location for our fall D-Train. The dates are September 21st through the 24th. As some of you that have been assisting me with looking for some locations, contracting with event locations right now is a big challenge. Meal prices are high, staffing is short. So when we can find a venue that's willing to work within the parameters that we need, since we are a low budget operation, we kind of have to work with that. So we'll be back here in the fall. And then next year in 2024, we'll actually be doing spring and fall in Knoxville. We have a fantastic proposal. It's not quite a contract yet. Our legal department is working on that, but I expect that should go through without any hitches. So we'll be looking to South for some support for spring and fall next year. Not sure what that's going to look like yet, but 12 did a fantastic job last year, so I have great expectations. So I really don't have much to talk about for D-Train. We are passing out a training survey tomorrow. I know, did Duncan step out? He should be. Oh, okay, lost you. I'm sure in the past he's sent out surveys and said, what do you want for training? And usually the response we get a lot of times is crickets. So we're hoping that tomorrow, as you're talking to your counterparts and you're sitting through sessions, today maybe something sparked an interest and you're like, I'd like to learn more about that. Put that on that training sheet and we'll compile those, and that's the training that we'll hope to present in the future. We'll go through those and see what's viable and of interest to the greater part of the group. I want to touch real quick on orders. We do have Laura here. Thank you, Laura. And to reiterate what Director Schibler said, Laura does a fantastic job. She's doing the work of what should probably be more than 2 people right now, but she does fantastic, and she's always responsive and chipper and helpful, and I greatly appreciate that because I have a lot of contact with her as DAA and also as HR. So thank you, Laura. We appreciate you. And on that note, you will be hearing from me probably, hopefully Sunday, if not Monday. Those of you on orders, the quicker you turn in your forms that you need to fill out for orders, the quicker you're going to get your money. I will send you a sample claim form. The only receipt you are required to submit will be for your hotel. But if you do have receipts for restaurants, meals, that's fine. But you don't have to have those unless it's greater than $75. Okay, there you go. And will it be like before, you'll want 2 separate attachments, correct? Okay. Okay, hear that? No food, no gas. You're gonna get the rate you're gonna get anyway, no matter what you turn in. But you'll have a form, and you have to turn in your hotel. You can do them in one email, but make sure they are separate attachments. Don't scan those 2 together, because she has to separate them. So make her life easier.
And also, when I sent your orders, you should have gotten the attachment for the copy of it.
Okay,
You may send it again, but I'm just saying,
okay.
you have the orders on that email, it gave you the instructions of when to send the order.
I honestly hadn't opened mine, because I'll worry about it on Monday. And I trust her, and we've done this a lot, so. But she said she sent you samples, in case you couldn't hear, so. If you have questions, certainly email me, call me, I'll be glad to help. I've done it a few times, so pretty familiar with it. And obviously, some of you guys are pretty experienced with it too. So unless anybody has any questions for me, that's all I have.
Thank you. Commodore of Interest, will you please come forward to give the district operations update?
How about if I stand right here, because by the time I got it there and back, I would be through, okay? I want to, is that okay with you?
Quick and clear works.
Absolutely. I want to tell you about the value of teamwork. Today, you saw an example of teamwork. Chief of Staff did most of my report, so I'm going to give you 2 bullets. Our semi-annual personnel protective equipment reports are in and done. Thank all of you SOPs for following up on that, getting it done. As well as most,
Need it so you two can hear.
oh, okay. All right, I'll do it again. Most of our all of our semi-annual personnel protective equipment reports are in. Thank all the staff officers on the division level for your support on that. And lastly, many, if not most of our divisions have completed the risk management PCT requirements ahead of time. So I'm sure there's still more that are going to be doing risk management PCT. Let's get those things in. With that, end of report.
Thank you. Next up, we have Duncan Wilkinson to give us our member training update. Duncan? I'm sorry. Here we sit like birds in the wilderness, birds in the wilderness, birds in the wilderness. Sorry, I'm a Boy Scout guy. I know all kinds of stuff for this. Step right up.
I know your mother said you can't sing.
That's right. I'm a Boy Scout. I can't sing.
Well, here I stand between a nap and lunch.
Are you done yet?
No. I've broken this into multiple parts. You can't always throw everything out all at once, so I got a part A, a part B, part C, part D, part E, and part F. For brevity,
That shortened his speech.
For brevity, I'll start at Part B. I'm sorry, Part D. One of the reasons we have these conferences, we can't call them conferences anymore. Coast Guard won't let us call them conferences because we can't get any money for them. We call them training sessions. And one of the things we want the division commanders to do is to attend the training. You got a sheet that looks something like this, had colors on it. We would like you to attend as much as you can in areas where you want to. If you aren't very proficient in Ox data, where is he? Okay. There's a special class in Ox data in the afternoon, and have your computer, and he will teach you how to run reports and how to do basic things. That's very important. If you have working on new members, please go to Tommy's class. It starts, he's going to do 6 hours. You don't have to sit there through 6 hours. He'll probably finish up early, but he's going to have some real good training. Now, we've got the flotilla leadership sitting back there. If you'd like to walk in and see what Michael or Mark are doing, just go in and monitor the class. You're not expected to participate. Matter of fact, they probably don't want you telling any war stories, but you're welcome to do that. Following that, we have a session called Meet the Brass. I don't know if anybody told the brass that they've got to sit in a room just around the corner on the other side of that wall and answer questions that the flotilla leadership students are going to prepare for Michael, and any that you might want about any area in the Coast Guard Auxiliary, any area in the Coast Guard that you have a question or would like someone to explain on. They've given the presentations here today. Maybe you didn't understand it. We will be back in that part. They will be in that part. So meet the brass before we go to the session. When you go to the sessions, there will be a sign-in sheet. It'll look something like this. Please sign in. One of the questions that are going to be on there is what your member number is. So please be prepared to write your member number down. It's very embarrassing to be in a classroom and someone wants a member number and they have to pull out their wallet, have to pull out their sheet or their electronic device to find out what their member number is. If you went through boot camp, you knew what your number was. If you went to the academy, you knew what your number was. Because during plebe week or hell week, if you didn't know that number, it was bad, bad, bad stuff. Let's talk about C schools. It's an opportunity for you to get a funded seat at one of the C schools. They're run by the national departments, not dismember training. If you want to do IS, if you want to do NAV, if you want to do PA, if you want to do the leadership, all of those courses are available. Some are full, some don't have happened. But you get there by submitting what's called an STTR. I forget what one of the T's stands for. Right. An individual in your flotilla wants to go to a class. They apply to the flotilla commander by filling out the form. The flotilla commander signs it. What I would like to do and the other people would like to do is you print it, sign it, rescan it, because all the Adobe doesn't work. It goes to the respective DSOMT for the national department that is supporting it. We sign it, provide the supporting backup, and then send it to Laura, and she puts it in this mystery machine called DA. For those of us that used to be in the Army, that stood for the Department of the Army, and it really confuses us. But it's called direct access, and that's how you get in the class. You probably won't know that you've been selected until later on when the orders come out. I'm sure that the Master Chief over there is going to figure out how we can get away that when you apply for a C school, you know about it before you get your orders. The day before, you got to be there. There are openings in Houston, and there are openings in NACON. I think there's still some openings if you want to go to Alaska or Hawaii. But those are the kind of things. Now, the good news and the bad news part. The bad news is the NACO award for 90% core training is no longer in existence. Good news is that if you take your core training in the classroom, sometimes called Moodle, it will be posted to Ox Data without you having to do anything. The same is true for any course you take in the National Test Center. It will ultimately be posted to Ox Data for you to get credit for that particular task. You got to remember there's a little bit difference in Ox Data. You have task and you have competencies. A task gets you a competency, but a task is not a competency. If the task isn't in Ox Data, you're not going to get awarded that competency, no matter what. So I've been told. So it's very important that it gets done. Trying to not make the IS people be overworked, but we're trying to get it so that it's semi-automatic because it is not automatic in Ox Data. It will be, your NC is posted over the weekend, and your training, your classroom is posted, I think, during the middle of the week. It will be automatic. Now, if you're REYR or REWR after middle of July, those don't automatically be updated once you have completed the task that caused you to be in that particular state. Which brings us to workshops. Workshops are very important, particularly when they're required. Now let me ask you a question. Maybe you may not know the answer, or maybe you do. Who is responsible for ensuring that the members are competent and have attended all the workshops before they go out on a duty? There's 3 levels here. There's probably 4 levels here. Do you know the answer? Who? The leadership. The auxiliary manual says there's 5 levels of leadership responsible for that, and it starts with the National Commodore, and it ends with the Flotilla Commander. It's not us staff officers. It's this front row out here, and where's Chris? Sitting there. And then, of course, the National Commodore is not here, but the representatives are. So it's your job to ensure that your members are properly trained in anything that they do in the auxiliary. Let's see. Mentor program. We've been talking about mentor. We've been talking about coach. We mix them up. The Coast Guard has an online national program for their mentor program for their active duty, their reserves, and their civilians. It's a short-term, long-term mentoring program. We're going to add auxiliary to that. There's a special group working with it. We talked about it at DTRAIN. It's going, once it gets in place, auxiliaries will be able to go into that database and find a mentor, a lifetime mentor. It does not replace the PQS mentoring for any of the programs that require PQS, but it does in leadership and other things. It's something to happen and come again. Please fill out those forms that Nita talked about. The training in the fall will be what you want. If you don't submit it, then it'll be what Chris wants, and Ron wants, and Anita wants. So please fill out those forms. Please don't remember to fill out your attendance form because you are going to get credit in Ox Data for attending these classes. The instructor is going to get credit in Ox Data for instructing these classes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, wait a minute. He's going to get us a 44-footer.
All right, thank you, Duncan. Now, according to this schedule, I'm supposed to say something, but I'm not going to say that yet. When you registered, when you checked in, whenever you did, you should have picked up one of these. This is the schedule. We're going to do our best to stick to it. And according to this schedule, it says I got to keep you in here for another, no. But it does say that after lunch break at 1300 is when we'll start our afternoon sessions. And that's what we're going to do our best to do. So the fact that you get out of here a little early, that's just some free time for you to have fun, talk to each other, visit the ship store, and buy them out. Pay your bill, absolutely. Talk to some of the leadership, network, all that fun stuff. When we come back in for this afternoon sessions, I will probably ask the head table that, or let me put it this way, I'm going to tell the head table they don't have to sit up here anymore. Okay, they can sit out in the audience and face this way, whichever way they'd like to, so that our presenters can focus on talking that way. Does that make sense? With that, well, I can't do it myself. It says right here. What do I always need at this point in time, guys, folks? What? Your SOL. He wanted me to remind everybody that we do have a hospitality suite, and the hospitality suite is in the Naples room, which is that way. Yes. Can you do what? They have a 50-50 going on over there. If you don't know what that is, when you walk in the door, ask the people. They'll be happy to explain it to you. Now, did somebody figure out what it was we needed? And if so, do I have one? We have a motion to adjourn made by Gene Stegman. Do I have a second? Second made by Chris Jones. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay and get shot. The motion has been made and approved. We stand adjourned. Thank you.